Hello and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I'm your host, Gabe Peterson, and this is the place investors go to gain actionable advice, learn about current market trends, and hear war stories from other professional investors out there in the field today. Before we get started, I have two quick housekeeping items for you. First, if you like this episode, we would very much appreciate a like, subscribe, and share. It is the best way to support the show and keep it running far into the future. Second, if you're a new investor looking to get started in real estate or an experienced investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you that will cover how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance those deals with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. On top of that, I throw in an insane amount of free bonuses that you'll have access to once you buy the ebook. All I charge is our admin costs to keep this show running. So if you're serious about real estate investing and want to create both active and passive income as an investor, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com and click on the button that says get the ebook in the upper right-hand corner to grab yourself a copy. With that said, let's dive right in. Today we have a very special guest with us, ready to drop some investor knowledge on you. So buckle up, grab your pen and paper, and enjoy the ride. All right, we are live with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have with us Kenneth D. Kastner. Kenneth is a U.S. tax professional specializing in helping foreign investors with their U.S. taxes. He is currently residing in Israel, so he's across the globe from where I am here in Seattle. Kenneth, thank you for hopping on the show today. How are you?
My pleasure. I'm doing great. Thanks. How are you, Gabe?
I'm doing good. We always start out with stories here on the show, so if you could take us back to the beginning. How did you get started as a tax professional here in the real estate sphere?
All right. Well, yeah, like you mentioned, I'm a tax accountant specializing in real estate for foreign investors. It's a specific niche. The way I got here is a little interesting. Back in 2012, I was working for Ernst & Young in the international tax department. I was providing tax consulting to companies, sending employees on relocation assignments around the globe. And at the time, there were two senior managers in the tax department who also happened to live in my neighborhood. And they decided to start their own tax firm, U.S. tax firm, in the basement of one of the partners' houses. And after a few months,
start in basements. That's it's a recipe for success there.
It definitely is. And like you said, it really was a success. After a few months, their real estate tax department started to grow, and they asked me to join them. So the rest is history. I managed that tax department as it continued to grow until it was bought out eventually 5 or 6 years later by a larger firm called UHY. And I headed also the successful transition and the merge of the teams between the two firms. That took about 6 months. And once they were settled, I left to start my own firm, this time an online firm, also in my basement because it's online. And to accommodate the ever-changing world, especially now in the wake of COVID-19.
Yeah, absolutely. COVID-19, the basement business is the de facto standard for these days. So that's awesome. You got started. Sounds like you were at E&Y. You were working as a tax professional. You followed some of your mentors or somebody in your business who started the business, helped them grow it, decided to do it yourself, and now you're doing the same thing except for online only. And when you started, was it specializing in international helping foreign investors invest in the United States, or was it only were you in the United States at the time?
Yeah, no, I was not in the U.S. at the time. I was in Israel, but I was helping mostly Israelis who have investments in the U.S. I was helping them with their tax with all their tax needs. And that's what I'm doing now also. So, the same thing I've been doing for the last, 7-8 years. I'm just doing it under a different name. So
you are the consummate professional. I love it. I like people who are niche down to the point where they know something backwards and forwards. And it sounds like that's where you're at right now with international investing.
Exactly.
So first question I'm going to ask, sorry, my throat is having problems today. First question I'm going to ask is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to ask it anyways. You help people invest in the U.S. Why do you find people are interested in the U.S. specifically?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll just make sure that you understand that I'm not on the investment side. So, people that invest, they do it for whatever reasons they have. Obviously, they feel that it's a good investment over there. Not just Israelis, people from all over the world are have been investing in the U.S. I think it started, really to peak, after the 2008, meltdown in the U.S. And after that, people felt there was a big opportunity to invest and to hold on to it as the value started to rise again. And then it just became just more popular and popular. It seems to be a better return on their investment than they can get anywhere in the banks or any interest. So it
Yeah,
just it
especially
just
here.
uh, it just came out that way, and I jumped on that train to help them out. If they're doing it anyway, why not make it my business to make sure they get there safely in terms of the tax.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, especially I'm just thinking like here in Seattle since 2008, our prices have just I don't know it has to have doubled. I don't know the actual numbers, but it has to have doubled. So it would make sense for an international somebody living outside of the U.S. to want to park their money here in the U.S. But we're
Yep.
not here to talk. We're here to talk specifically about tax advantages. So tell us taxing the tax side of real estate investing is something that I am not an expert on at all. In fact, I know very little. I know less than I should know about the intricacies of tax when it comes to real estate. So, from somebody who's outside of the United States looking to invest in the United States, what are the things that they need to consider, and what are the kind of hoops that they need to jump through in order to do it successfully from a tax perspective?
Okay, well, there are a few different aspects here. There's the technical side. In order to invest in the first place, they need to decide if they want to invest directly or if they want to open up some sort of an entity, LLC, or a corporation or a foreign corporation, or decide how they're going to invest in the U.S. So I can help them, obviously, with that, with forming an entity, forming an LLC, deciding if they want to own that LLC directly or with a partner, with family members, with friends or whatever it is. They'll also need a tax identification number, not only for the LLC, which is called an EIN, but also an individual tax identification number, which is called an ITIN, because they don't have social security numbers. They're not U.S. people, so they need to get an ITIN, which is the tax number that replaces the social security number on the tax return. Um, and yeah, like I said, there's a lot of tax planning. There's the issue of estate tax. Okay, for a U.S. citizen, estate tax, there's a very there's a very high threshold for an exemption amount. If somebody passes away and they have assets, worth, I think it's up to something like $20 million of assets, they won't have any estate tax. But for a foreign investor that's not a U.S. person, the exemption amount is only $60,000.
Oh wow,
So
that's like
so
nothing. That's a
so yeah. So
blank
I
piece
tell
of
I tell
land
I tell
here
my
in
clients
Seattle.
they have to make sure if you're investing in the U.S., you're not allowed to die.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
that
that's it.
makes
Either
sense.
that, or obviously there are some ways to mitigate the risks. So those are things that we make sure to discuss. Um,
So going back
Obviously, so
to
some of those things could be costly also. So the investment companies sometimes don't like when I talk about the estate tax planning issues, because sometimes it deters them from the investment itself. But it really shouldn't, because there are plenty of advantages as long as you're aware of it going in, and you understand the risks, and you choose a method to mitigate that risk. Then
yeah,
it
if a
shouldn't be any issue.
tax is the thing that kills your deal, then you probably don't have a deal in the first place. So that makes sense.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so going back to you talked about which people deciding which type of entity they want to create, LLC, S corp, whatever that whatever it may be. What do you guys recommend generally? So I always tell my students and myself, I always put properties in LLCs
But I know there's different methodologies out there, different schools of thought. So how do you mentor people into creating the entity, and which one do you suggest they create?
Okay, so that's really an individual question, because it really has a lot of different aspects, not just tax aspects, but also familial aspects, different legal aspects, different preferences. First of all, the S corp, interestingly, is not allowed for foreign people. It's only for U.S. citizens could apply an S corp. So they can either open up a C corp, a regular corporation, or, like you said, an LLC, which could be treated as a sole proprietorship or as a partnership, or they can invest using a foreign entity, like if they're in the UK, a UK company, directly into the US. And what that does, actually, even though the taxes in the short run might be higher by investing in an entity, either a C corp or a foreign corporation, but the foreign corporation actually takes away the estate tax risk. That's one of the things that's one of the things that mitigate the risk, or eliminate the risk, essentially, because there is no estate tax on foreign corporations. So if that's your main goal, to not have any issues with estate tax, then one of the ways to go would be a foreign corporation. But most people choose an LLC. Most people invest using an LLC, like you said, a partnership or a sole proprietorship. If they're a single member LLC, if they're just one person, or if it's a husband and wife, they'll go in together, or with their kids or aunts or cousins or whatever it is. And that also, by the way, minimizes the risk of the estate tax, because essentially the more people that are investing in the same amount, okay, if we're talking about the same amount, not each person adding more money, but if it's just one person, let's say investing, just for the sake of the example, $100,000, okay. So if he invests together with his wife, that same $100,000, essentially $50,000 for each of them. So they're under the threshold of the $60,000 estate tax. Okay, so as the numbers go higher, they would theoretically need more and more people to be in that partnership in order to keep that
under 60,
that estate tax under control. But obviously, when we get into the millions, then it's then we're talking about different solutions, like trusts and things like that, which are more costly, but are more worth it at that time if we're talking about higher value of assets.
That makes sense. So why would someone choose a C corp over an LLC? What is the situation where that would make sense?
There are a few reasons where that would make sense. The C corp allows the investor to be a little more anonymous, because in a partnership, in an LLC, everything flows directly to the partners, and it's taxed on an individual level, which is good and bad. It's usually good from an income tax perspective, but in terms of anonymity, it's a little less preferable for some people that just like to stay in the shadows for whatever reason. In the C corp, unless they own above a certain percentage of the C corp, then their name doesn't appear anywhere. So if you have a group of investors and they go invest in a C corp, and I think it's 15 or 20%. If they have less than that ownership, then they won't be anywhere. And just people like themselves private. That's one thing. Another thing is that with the C corp, they could utilize the 1031 exchange. This is something a little interesting that many people don't know. Obviously, you're familiar with the 1031 like kind exchange.
I'm doing that right now, actually.
That's very popular with investors, real estate investors. But with a lot of foreign investors, that's 1031 exchange is a really bad idea, because in their home country, depends on the country, obviously, but in their home country, very often the tax authorities in their country, since they're a tax resident in where they live, they also have to report to their own country, and their country does not recognize the tax deferral of the 1031. So they will have to pay. They would have to pay the capital gains tax in their home country, even though they can't offset it against the capital gains tax in the U.S. because it was deferred to a different year. And then by the time they end up paying that in the U.S., then it'll be a different tax year, and they won't be able to offset that gain, that tax credit, the foreign tax credit, and it's just a total disaster. They'll end up paying double tax. So that's something to keep in mind. And one way to avoid that and to be able to utilize the 1031 is to invest through a corporation. Because the corporation can do the 1031 exchange, not on the individual level, and then it doesn't come to the individual in his home country until he or she takes out dividends from the CCorp, and and only at that point they'll be taxed in their home country. So before they take out any dividends, everything's still in the company in the CCorp. They can do whatever tax deferral plans, 1031 exchanges, whatever it is. And only 10 years later, when they want to take out money, then they take out dividends and they'll pay whatever tax they have.
That's interesting. I didn't actually know that. So I'm assuming, or maybe I'm assuming incorrectly here, but does it work in the reverse direction? Like I'm considering purchasing property in Spain and Central America. Is that same thing applicable if I were to do a 1031 from a property here in the United States? I'm assuming that I would basically have to pay, or if I bought a property in say Spain and then I sold it, I'm assuming I would have to pay double taxes if it wasn't in a C Corp, correct?
Right. The way it works with most countries, especially if there's a tax treaty between the countries, but even if there isn't, usually the way it works in terms of real estate, there's the country that has the real estate, okay, and they get to tax you because the real estate is in their country, and the other country gets to tax you because you're a resident of that country, right? So that's why you have the two different countries. But who has the first right of taxation? Okay, the first right of taxation goes to whichever country the real estate is physically in. Okay, so if you're talking about real estate in the U.S., and the U.S. will have the first right of taxation. If the real estate is in Spain, then Spain will have the first right of taxation. And then, whatever else, then you look at the other country and you see, okay, calculate the tax in the other country, and you can use the foreign tax. Okay, let's say, in Spain you're talking about, so you'll take that tax that you paid in Spain as a credit against the tax that you'd have to pay in the U.S., and that way you won't have double tax. But yeah, if you're going to be playing around doing tax deferral stuff and things like that are only recognized in one country, not in the other, then you'll definitely have that issue.
That makes sense. All right. Well, hey, we are closing in on the 20-minute mark, so I got to push us into the quick question round. And that always starts with books. I like to ask people about their favorite books, and I want 2 book recommendations, one for the topic that you're talking about. So it could be specifically to tax, or it just could be just investing in general, and then one on general life wisdom.
Well, this is not going to be a popular answer, but I'm not a big book person. Okay, so I don't have any recommendations for specific books. If you want my recommendation, I'll tell you, read the Bible. It has all the answers in there.
There you go. The Bible is a good recommendation. It's widely known, and I'm sure you'll be able to find a copy out there somewhere. The next question.
Bestseller.
Exactly. The next question is for your younger self. So if you could go back to the Ken who is just getting started in taxation, specializing in real estate, and give him one piece of advice moving forward, what would that be?
Oh, I'll tell you, I would say work hard and at the same time trust in God. Okay, you do your part and He will do His. A lot of people have all this, anxiety, and it really stifles their growth. Anxiety is not going to help anybody. You do what you can, and God will do His part.
Yep, got to have faith that things will work out for the better in the end. Next question is an opportunity for you to flex your muscles. Give us, boast a little bit about yourself. So, what are you absolutely kick-ass at? What is your superpower?
All right, I think that's what we mainly touched on this entire time here. My niche is specifically foreign investors in U.S. real estate. All right, that's my specialty. I don't really deal with almost anything else. That's what I focus on. That's what I research. That's what I've been doing the last 7-8 years, and I love it. I like helping the investors that are not familiar with the system, and help them navigate the system from A to Z. And I know the time is running out, so people can hop onto my website if they want. Kastner Tax Solutions.
That'll be the very last question I ask. So I got one more question before that.
All right.
This one's about habits. Habits are the foundation of our life. So if you could point to one habit that you feel has contributed the most to your overall well-being and success, what would that be?
I would say that's attention to detail. I know it's maybe like a cliche, the accountants, have to have attention to detail, but it really is true. I don't leave any stones unturned. Many people say it's better for a business to focus on, only in the big things, but I think that's a mistake. The fact that I take small things seriously, clients really appreciate that, and that leads to success. You never know, if you ignore a small client now, you might end up losing a big client later because of it.
Absolutely. No, it takes all different types of brains to make something successful. The attention to detail people are as integral as the big picture as well. So now we're on to the last question, and this one is the one that you're getting into. If somebody wanted to get in contact with you, you've given us a lot of good advice about taxation. So I'm sure people out there, they want to reach out. So what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I think the easiest way is to look me up on LinkedIn. Kenneth Kastner. It's the simplest thing. Or visit my website, Kastner Tax Solutions. That's one word, KastnerTaxSolutions.com.
All right. And that is KASTNER taxsolutions.com. So
Correct.
Go ahead and reach out to Kenneth there. I will put his URL in the show notes. So if you click that little more in the description, it'll pop down the full description. You'll be able to find Kenneth's link there. Click through, say hi, and ask him a few questions about taxation. So Kenneth, thank you again very much for hopping on the show today. I know it's late over there in Israel, but I appreciate you hopping on here and having a chat.
And thank you so much, Gabe, for having me. It's really been a pleasure.
Absolutely. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for hopping on here. Of course, you are the reason that we do this, so we appreciate having you here. Again, the best way to support the show is just to subscribe, like, and share this episode with your friends and family. Other than that, hope you have an absolutely kick-ass day. Keep kicking ass in real estate, and I look forward to having you on the next episode.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on, and we're able to pull some actionable advice that you can apply in your own investing today in the field. Before you go, we have a gift for you. If you're a new investor looking to get started, or an established investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you, available on our website. This ebook will cover how I was able to create both active and passive income in real estate with very little money to start with. In it, I will address the 3 most often cited obstacles new and veteran investors run into by showing you how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance a deal with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. And if you get the ebook today, I am throwing in a bundle of bonuses, 7 of them to be exact. The first one will be the off-market lead generation blueprint, which will take you through the exact systems and processes we use to generate off-market leads like clockwork, which is the most important skill when it comes to creating wealth in real estate. The second bonus is the A to Z REI systems and vendors guide, which will allow you to peek under the hood of our business and see the exact tools, systems, and even the vendors we use to see the success that we do. And the third bonus is the top 100 best performing keywords pack, which will give you the exact keywords we use to target motivated sellers online using PPC ads. The fourth bonus is our contracts bundle for wholesaling and renting real estate, which will give you access to all the contracts we use in the field to execute all different types of transactions. After that is the Investors Quick Analysis Calculator and Offer Tool, which will allow you to quickly calculate whether a deal is an actual deal and will allow you to create an offer automatically from those calculations. This is a lot of bonuses that I said. I'm just going to keep going down the list. Number 6 is the Investor's Daily Success Tracker, which is a tracker you can use to ensure you are taking the right actions day in and day out to reach your financial goals in real estate. And the last bonus is the Wholesaler's Template for quick assignment cash, which will give you the templates we use to present our wholesale deals professionally and efficiently to our buyers. Whew, that is a bundle. So it's a mouthful. You get all of those bonuses for free when you download the ebook. All we charge is the admin cost to run the show. So if you're interested in the ebook and the bonus bundle, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Click on Get the Ebook Bundle at the top of the page to take advantage of that deal. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day and even better week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.